Welcome to the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to get local clients fast. Featuring interviews with local marketing and lead generation experts who will show you exactly how to attract local clients and dominate your market. And now, here's your host, Doran Aldana.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. This is your host, Doran Aldana, coming at you with another kick-ass episode, and today is no exception to the rule. We always like to give you the most potent and powerful and profitable strategies and ideas that you can execute today to push the needle on profit and performance in your local business. And we got a really awesome guest today with the one, the only, Jason McDonald. He has got a PhD, so this guy is like crazy Yoda smart, but he's not just, out there in the ivory tower of academia smart. This guy is street smart. He understands what it takes to actually push the needle on results when it comes to local marketing. So much so, in fact, that he's actually been brought in among all the different options and all the different possible teachers and trainers and coaches. He was brought in by Stanford to teach their SEO and social media marketing, not only online, but also at their physical campuses. That's saying something because they have lots of choices and options to pick from. And he's the founder and senior SEO and social media director of his company, JM Internet Group. He's an author. He's a teacher. He sells a lot of books because his stuff is simple and powerful. In fact, his mission is to make online marketing easy and fun. And I love that because marketing can so often be complicated and convoluted and overwhelming and not practical, let alone fun. So I love that mission, and I think you're going to hear a lot of that exuding through him from our time together today. And so without further ado, Jason, welcome to our interview.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thanks so much for being with us, man. I'm looking forward to this. So why don't we dive in and start off with just a little introduction to yourself. How'd you get to be such a world-class proponent and expert in the arena of SEO and social media? Give us a little bit of your origin story in terms of how you got into the game of SEO and social media and how you got into the upper echelons of expert status in that category.
Okay, well, So I started in 1994. I have one of the oldest domains on the internet.
Holy
when
smokes.
the top
Did the internet even exist back then?
Barely did. So I had a tech company that's no longer in existence. It was a very, very successful tech company that I started in 1994. So pre-Google, before Google.
Incredible.
So I was, I'm older than Google. So I was doing this in 94, 95, I know. And I actually have a very torn up at this point, but a Google towel. Google came out and met with me in 1999 when they were just starting AdWords, and they gave me a towel. My dog has since destroyed the towel, but I have remnants. I have remnants of a Google towel.
It was a very, very valuable keepsake, I can tell.
I should have framed it probably.
Absolutely.
So I had a tech company in technology for engineers, and that was really dawn of the internet. And to promote that company, I had to get very good at really, kind of manipulating the search engines. There wasn't just Google. There was Webcrawler and Lycos, all these ones that sort of fell by
Netscape and all that.
All of that. Yeah. So that's how I got into SEO. And then, of course, social media in the last, 6-7 years has kind of come on as well. And since that time, I don't just deal with tech clients. I don't really have tech clients anymore. I have clients all over the map in different industries, a lot of local clients. And then because I'm a overeducated wannabe academic, that's what got me back into teaching, books on Amazon, training, et cetera, because I've always liked kind of figuring things out and explaining them. So I kind of, I always tell my mom, it was worth it, Mom, my education. They did connect later in life.
Well, that's more to be said.
Together.
That's more to be said than my own academic journey. I was going to actually be a PE teacher and get people to, go down and give me their 40 push-ups and do laps around the soccer field. But then halfway through university, I realized I'm not really mentally fit to work for anybody. So that kind of botched that plan. Yeah. But the initial plan was to be a PE teacher. So I had lofty ambitions of being in the educational system as a teacher. And then I realized my ambition to be free and create and manifest higher income levels superseded the idea of working at 8 to 3.
A lot of teaching is motivation. A lot of teaching is motivating people. You can do this. This can be done. You can do it if you put your mind to it. So right. I do think that there's a connection between entrepreneurship and teaching. They're both about empowerment. They're both about, hey, you can do this, and they're also both about a lot of hard work. About you have to roll up your sleeves and get it done. So I do think there's more connection than you'd think.
Absolutely. And interestingly enough, I'm still teaching, and the funny thing is I'm still getting people to put their health and their wellness and their vitality as a high priority in their life, because in order to create, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs and salespeople and business owners, and in order for them to create breakthrough results, they need to have vitality. They need to have energy. Otherwise, it's, you might have a Ferrari, but if you got no fuel, it's not going to take you anywhere. And if you don't take care of it and tune it up, it's going to be on the side of the road billowing smoke. So interestingly enough, I'm still actually being somewhat of a PE teacher, but in a different way. So it's interesting how the paths come back to the source, at least certainly in this case. But enough about me. Let's talk about your journey a little bit more. So you got into the social media space, you got into the SEO space, now you're writing books about it, now you're a teacher at Stanford teaching people how to do this, and obviously there's a lot to keep up on. It's always changing, always evolving, new things to learn every day. So give us a little bit of a sense as to how things have evolved over the last few years in the SEO and social media space that the average lackadaisical dabbler maybe would not really have on their radar, that someone who really wants to dominate their local marketing space needs to be at the cutting edge of. Give us a perspective in terms of how things are evolving, changing, and what's the next big thing.
Sure. You can't, I think the big change, or the thing to think about, you cannot look at SEO, the computer, the website, that portion. You can't look at that as separate from the human component, which is the review component, the Facebook component, user behavior, like how people click from Google to your website and whether they bounce back. So we're really seeing these two separate areas of computing, right, of local sort of stuff. They're really converging so that your social, your reviews, your Facebook, your YouTube, etc., and your SEO, which is how do you set your website up, to be Google friendly. Those are no longer separate. They're merging, and they're more and more interconnected, which is one reason why reviews are so important. Reviews help you with social, review on Facebook, review on Google, review on Yelp, but they also help you on SEO. They help you rank. So they go together. That's one change. I would say another change that is a little bit more nefarious is all of the search engines, the social platforms like Facebook, Twitter, whatever, they're getting better and better and better at filtering out spam and manipulation and just sort of fake news. This has become a real pain point here in Silicon Valley. So I think they're smarter than ever before at detecting raw just manipulation. So you have to work with humans. You have to work with real humans to actually succeed. And that wasn't true. Certainly, like 1994, it wasn't true at all. You could just manipulate the heck out of them and just do great now. And it's become harder. So I think the human component is really the future, the human, the crazy human, right? That's becoming the future of everything.
And when you say human, it's really coming down to the essence of integrity and genuine authenticity, because at the end of the day, the search engines, they're trying to produce the best results for their users in terms of getting them what they're querying for, and less of the crap and more of the good stuff. less of the gravel, more of the gold nuggets. So a higher concentration of accurate search results for what people really want. And what they really want is real deal quality. And so manipulation through hiring people out of India to do a bunch of black hat weird stuff. Obviously, the Google caught on to that, and so they've changed the algorithms to mitigate the chance of that actually coming up top ranking now. So now all of a sudden all that stuff that used to come up top is now in the bottom barrels of cyberspace, somewhere where no one would even see it. And the real deal stuff, where you're actually building a real following because you have real quality content on your Facebook and on your YouTube, and you have real reviews because you have real clients who have had a real experience. And obviously these review sites are trying to mitigate having fake faux reviews too. So then there's all kinds of hoops that people have to jump through to make sure those are legit. And so everything is geared more and more towards who's the real deal, who's authentic, who's quality, and the cream rises to the top. Is that kind of the idea?
Well, yes and no. Yes and no. So you're right, and I agree with you that that the search engines, the Facebooks, whatever, they want real content from real people, right? But here's the wrinkle. Here's the wrinkle that you have to really wrap your head around. And let's just talk about reviews. Let's not talk about social right now.
Sure.
Let's just talk about reviews. Here's the wrinkle, right? Outside of restaurants, outside of fun stuff, restaurants and bars, right? Take plumbers, right? Take realtors, right?
Sure.
The most likely person to spontaneously write you a review is the unhappy camper. Right. And why is this, right? You're a plumber, you come to my home, you fix my toilet, right? I'm not going to hop on my toilet, hopefully, and take a selfie and post it on Instagram. Look at me. My toilet is fixed, right? I'm so excited, right?
Right.
It's not going to happen.
No.
Hopefully. But if you don't fix my toilet, if the toilet blows up the next day and it's a weekend and you won't fix my toilet, you won't come back because, that's a weekend, I'm not working, you'll be sure that I'm going to write a nasty review for you. So here's the problem. You're going to get an authentic review if you do nothing, but you're generally going to get negative reviews. Authentic or negative. The problem a lot of times is there are a lot of authentic people who like your business, who really do like you, but they're not going to do anything unless you as a business owner nudge them, ask them, hey, could you do me a favor? Is everything cool with your toilet? Did I do a good job selling your house? Fill in the blank business. Could you do me a favor and could you write me a review? You've got to do something proactive to bring to the surface those people that like you. And that's the wrinkle in human psychology that I think a lot of businesses don't get is we like to share content on the internet that shows, how awesome we are. That's why everyone, when they go to Disneyland, they take a selfie. Look at me, I'm at Disneyland. You're sucking in your cubicle in San Jose. Poor you. This is human nature.
Right.
But a lot of the services that we consume, accountant, lawyer, plumber, real estate to some extent, people they're not going to spontaneously go on Facebook and say, wow, I just sold my house. Let me tell you about my realtor.
No, they're not.
They're going to say, look at my house. Look at me in front of my house that's so expensive. And I'm so awesome because I'm rich and I bought this cool house. But they're not going to share the realtor. So as a business owner, you have to deal with this irrationality that's in human behavior, which is unhappy campers write reviews.
And actually, it's perfectly rational, because if at the end of the day we're all tuned into the same station, WIIFM, what's in it for me, right? So we're all dialed into achieving our own objectives, our own goals, our own aspirations, getting out of our own hell and getting into our own heaven. And that's what we're geared towards every day. We can't be concerned about anyone else's hell or heaven unless they're interconnected closely with us, like our spouse or our kids. But for the most part, we're just trying to dial in, how do I just, do this thing called life, and ideally improve my status, and ideally move ahead and make progress. And so we've got to find a way to cut through all the clutter and all the marketing messages and all the blur and all the overwhelm, and be able to get these people who may be very happy with our service to actually oblige and give us a review in this case? So you're talking about a proactive request, and chances are you're also talking about proactive follow-up, because I imagine you take 100 people and you ask them for a review, you might get 20-30% to oblige, but there's still 70 to 80% who still have not bothered to do it. So we're talking about a proactive campaign, not a one and done. Is that the idea?
That's very much the idea. And back to your physical fitness background, right? PE, right? You can't get off the couch and say, damn it, I can't run a marathon, right? Because I've been sitting on the couch eating McDonald's for the last 5 years. You can't just go off the couch, well, I want to run a marathon. Well, couldn't do it, not possible. You have to be systematic. You have to do it day in and day out. And reviews and local marketing have the same idea. And again, this is where human psychology intervenes. You have to stick with it. You have to ask those 100 people to get 5 reviews. 4 reviews. You have to stick with it to succeed, and you can't be an instant gratification person. You can't say, well, I ask a few people to review me, and no, they wouldn't do it. Oh, this sucks, I quit. Right. It doesn't work. You have to stay with it, and that again gets to your own psychology. You have to have your own psychology that never give up, never surrender. You have to keep going, and I think that's another area that small business owners get tripped up in because they don't stick with it. But if they do stick with it, then it works. And then they're like, yeah, I can run this marathon. I can do it. I have stuck with it. I have taken concrete steps to succeed. So there's a lot of psychology. There's a lot of psychology, the human psychology, more and more important. Ironically, right, we're all talking about AI and self-driving cars and all this sort of thing. But really, the human psychology is very much there. And I think it's even more there than it used to be in any kind of digital marketing. It's more and more about humans.
Absolutely. And the more we dial in that psychology through what we feed our psychology, whether it be trash, like watching the news, versus life-giving, prosperity-inducing, inspiration, motivation, education, obviously input equals output. And so you're talking about psychology to follow through, but also there's a psychology to just honor our word and deliver exceptional service so people even want to give us reviews. So psychology is really the mission critical piece in the whole equation, because how we show up in the world and how we show up in our business and how we serve impacts everything in terms of whether or not we're referral worthy, whether we're 5-star review worthy, and whether people are inspired and motivated to even give us 5-star reviews, let alone having a campaign to ask for them. So there's a lot here that's inextricably linked to the psychology. And I think that's one of the reasons why Jim Rohn, he said, if you work hard on your job, you'll make a living. But if you work hard on yourself, which is psychology, you'll make a fortune. So there's a lot of wisdom in what you're talking about there in psychology. How important are reviews nowadays when it comes to dominating on the local search? Let's say I'm a plumber, and I want to dominate my local space. When people search for a plumber in my market, I want to dominate. I want to be the only logical choice. We've heard that reviews are important to be able to, show up and have that trusted, preemptive positioning. But from your perspective, being that you've got a lot of acumen and knowledge and research that most people don't, how important do you think reviews are in this equation?
Reviews are the most important part of the local search algorithm. So if you're looking at Google, if you're looking at Bing, local reviews on Google, reviews on Yelp. Yelp drives its own review ecosystem. Yelp drives Bing, right? So your reviews are the most important. Now, again, there's always like the wrinkles. I like what I do because there's always this little there's this little gotcha you got to watch out for. So here's a little gotcha. You need the reviews, right? Let's talk about Google reviews. You want to rank for plumber. You want to rank for best realtor Seattle. You want to rank for CPA San Francisco. You need reviews, especially on Google, to be in the game. But here's the deal. Reviews are like gasoline in a car. You need the fuel, but it doesn't work if everything's not connected properly, right? If your fuel pump is broken, it doesn't matter how much gas you have in the car, it won't work. So you have to have the reviews, but you also have to have an optimized website. You've got to have the circuitry of the website structured in such a way that it can use that energy that's flowing from reviews to help you rank. So you've got to have the reviews, but you also have to have a little of this very old school, SEO stuff that's been around for the last, 15 years. You got to have that done properly. And most businesses don't have it done properly. That's one of their problems. So they can be kind of, it's like, hey, is your car's not working. What's wrong with it? Well, first, does it have any gas? That's the first question. And then secondly, is your fuel pump working? Right. You got to go through the steps. So the same thing here, hey, I'm not ranking on Google for the search that I care about, CPA Los Angeles. Well, do you have any reviews? Okay. If you do, then what's the other problem is then in connections. And that's an area where they're the most important. Now, within reviews, Google reviews, most important on Google for sure. Google heavily rewards its own reviews. Yelp reviews are number 2, very strong in the blue states. I don't know why this is true, but it is true. Yelp goes with blue states. It's very big in California, New York, whatever. You go to Florida, they're like, I don't know what Yelp is. It's weird, right? You go to Texas, they're like, we've never even heard of it, right? Right. So it's very much blue state oriented. Now, within the blue states, California where I live, Yelp is huge just as its own. People go directly to Yelp to find a CPA or local service. But it also drives Bing. It's very important. I mean, Bing's about, 10-15% of search volume. So even in Texas, Yelp drives Bing reviews, Yelp drives Bing, even though people don't use Yelp. Now, here's where you get into a real pickle. How do you get Yelp reviews in a state that doesn't have a lot of Yelpers? That's a real tough one. That's a real tough one. But we're all in the same boat. You may be the CPA or the realtor that has 2 Yelp reviews, in Plano, Texas. That's going to beat everybody else because everybody else has got none.
Right. The one-eyed man is the one-eyed man is king in the land of the blind. Right. Exactly. So that's an area where I think this review part is a piece of the puzzle. Now, let's make this more interesting for your readers. Let's circle back to psychology, right? So let's talk a little bit about Yelp and psychology. Okay. So here's psychology. So your business, your local business, is your baby, right? It's your baby. You love it. And if you do nothing, the most likely person to write a review is the unhappy camper. So that person has done what? They've essentially walked up to you, they've looked at your baby, and they've said, wow, that's an ugly baby. I don't like that baby. That baby is really ugly. Reminds me of that Seinfeld episode.
So you as a local business owner, what's your emotions get the better of you, and what's your emotional gut reaction is, I'm mad at you. I hate you. You just told me my baby is ugly.
Right.
I hate you, and probably I hate Yelp as well. And Yelp has its own issues. We can go into that. But here's the problem. If you do nothing, the most likely reviews are negative reviews. So what do you conclude? I hate Yelp. I hate Google. The world is against me. Everyone thinks my beautiful baby is ugly. But I know it's a beautiful baby, right? So you as a business owner have a psychological tendency to just get angry and not understand that if you would just do your part and get those happy campers that love your business, right, which are hopefully out there, you'll have 95% of the people say you have a beautiful baby, and 5% you can't please 5%.
Right.
They're going to say they hate you. That's human nature. But so there's a psychology as well where business owners, shoot the messenger and conclude the whole system is rigged against them. And Yelp has this in spades. You go on the internet, people hate Yelp who are business owners. And I think a large part of that is this your baby's ugly phenomenon. Now, Yelp's got other problems, but this is 80% of why Yelp is hated is this wrinkle that the most likely person to write the review is the unhappy camper. Mm-hmm. And psychologically, the business owners then conclude Yelp is horrible.
Right. And
there's some weird psychology here.
So instead of using that breakdown as a breakthrough, or that stumbling block as a stepping stone, or that setback as a set up, they just, get bitter and just throw the baby out with the bathwater instead of saying, dang, I better get proactive and, use this as some motivation and inspiration to get my butt in gear and start proactively getting some positive reviews to supersede and to overshadow that one negative review. I'm going to get 20 positive reviews.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
And now all of a sudden it becomes the impetus that propels you forward instead of something that just torques you off and gets you stuck in the poor me, woe is me mindset. So there is some positive perturbance opportunities there. If you do have any negative reviews, use that as positive perturbance to get out there and start being proactive with getting reviews. So do you have some suggestions? Now, just to be clear, this is a self-serving plug for our Testimonial Engine, because our Testimonial Engine automates this entire process of not just getting the review, not just following up with the reviews, but if it's negative, it does damage control, it firewalls them, puts them in a quarantine, if you will, and just uses that as private feedback so it doesn't get onto the web, tarnishing the business owner's reputation for years to come. And that's if it's negative. If it's positive, that's where we ask them to share it with the world on Google, Yelp, etc. So we have a kind of a screening device, or a firewall, if you will, to mitigate negative reviews from hitting the web and to maximize positive reviews to be shared on key strategic review sites, among other things. So it's an automated, easy button shortcut. Now, is there anything that you would recommend when it comes to, having a business owner really put a system in place to be proactive with these reviews? Criteria, for example, of things they should be looking for in a quality system for getting these reviews. And I'm putting myself and the Testimonial Engine on the chopping block right now with no safety net, and I'm cool with that, because we're going to see if the Testimonial Engine meets the criteria on the fly live. So let's take a kick at the can and see how we do.
Yes. Okay. So here's how to think about it. So I teach courses in digital marketing, and one of the funny sort of dirty secrets is there's nothing new under the sun, right? Humans have not changed, despite the fact that we all have mobile phones and we live on the internet 24 hours a day. So psychology is not different, okay? Now, here's the connection to reviews, right? In the old days, right? I have kids, so I say in the old days, kids, in the 1970s, right? Before we had phones, right? People survived. I mean, it's like caveman times, right? We had no phones, we had no internet, right? We survived, right? But in the old day, how would this work? And you still see this, in restaurants. And I'm always a marketer. I'm always looking at how do things work? So you go to a restaurant, you're eating your food, and often this person will show up at your table and they will say, "How's it going? Is everything going well?" Right? And it's usually the owner, the maitre d', somebody like that. They're checking up, and you go, "Oh, well, no, it's not going well. We ordered a pepperoni pizza, and instead we got a veggie pizza." Right? Mm-hmm. And then at that point in time, they have the ability to say, "Oh, we're sorry. Let's fix it. What can we do to fix it? Let's give you the correct order." Right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, then you're happy. Now, that two-step process. Hey, are you happy? Great, you're happy, wonderful, right? Please write us a review. Or, hey, are you happy? No, you're not happy? Why are you not happy? I'm not happy because something went wrong. And that's what the Testimonial Engine does. That's what the structure on the digital is doing. The Testimonial Engine is really a glorified maitre d'. It's walking up to the customer and saying, "Are you happy? Oh, you are happy? Write us a review. Oh, you're not happy? Tell us why you're not happy." And we're going to share that with the business owner. and allow the business owner to fix it. That's and there's a lot of psychology here too. What do most people want in this world? They want to be heard. They want to have the ability to have their voice heard. So if you don't give them the opportunity to tell you why they're not happy, they'll take the opportunity and go do it on Yelp or go do it on Google proactively. So this two-step process. So if you were a business and you don't want to use a testimonial engine, fine, don't use them. But it's the same process. So you own a pizza restaurant, the waiter or the maitre d' or somebody walks up to the table, hey, do you like the pizza? You do? Great. Please write us a review. Hey, do you like the pizza? No. Why don't you like the pizza? We got the wrong order. Let's fix it. Now, are you happy? You are happy? Will you write us a review? Yes. Hey, here's the pizza. Do you like the pizza? No. Why not? Because we're a bitter, nasty, horrible person. Okay, thank you. Those are your three possibilities.
Right.
Because some people, you can't please them, and those are the people you don't proactively ask. They'll write a review for you no matter what. Don't ask those people. But there's two other sorts of people. There's the happy campers, the super fans, and if they're asked, would you do us a favor? Would you share your good experience with the outside world? A lot of them, oh, sure, of course I will. Thank you for asking. I'm so that you care about my opinion. I'll definitely do it. And then there's this weird category where they'll love you, but there's something wrong. They did something wrong. You're my realtor. You sold me the house, but the title company, made a mistake, and there's some problem. This is a headache for me. Oh, okay, I'll fix that. Okay, I'm happy. Now I love you.
You make a great point.
So there's three categories.
You make a great point that strategically, I think there's a proclivity of people to want to almost play God and try and discern in advance who has positive sentiment and who doesn't, so I can up the chances of getting someone to oblige and say yes to a positive review and lower the chances of a negative Nelly spewing negativity online, which I could never remove. So I think people naturally have that inclination, and that's one of the cool things about a system like the Testimonial Engine is you don't have to bear the burden of trying to play God anymore. You just feed all your clients, all your customers, all your patients through the system. And because you have that safety net with that firewall system, you never have to worry about a negative Nelly because they all get quarantined automatically and systematically. And so that way you just feed them all through proactively and let the cream rise to the top. And if there's any negative Nellies, they get thrown in the quarantine pit. And you can use that as feedback to improve your customer service, improve your policies, procedures, protocol. So you can, have that be useful feedback to improve your customer service in the future, as well as hopefully mitigate the chance of that person now going out and submitting it to Yelp or Google, where you can never remove it because now it's in public domain, and generally speaking, those are pretty much impossible to remove once they're on there. And I've heard studies show that 7 out of 10 consumers will return to a business if their concern is resolved quickly. So speed is the name of the game. So now we've got a feedback loop to be able to get that feedback. Oh, you're not happy? Why are you not happy? Let's do something about it. And if you're proactive about rectifying it, now we can not only turn them around and get them neutral or positive, but we can capture their long-term repeat and referral business for years to come. And that's where an enormous amount of upside potential is when you start to look at the long-term game plan as opposed to just a short-term play. So I love the line of thinking that you're bringing into this conversation. Tell me about how you can leverage these reviews beyond just the normal benefits of standing out on the local search and perhaps getting more pre-sold, pre-cooked, pre-tenderized, predisposed, hot for what you got people who are saying, hey, I love your reviews. We've decided to do business with you. Besides all the natural benefit you'd get from dominating on the local search, what are some other interesting creative ways to use reviews or leverage reviews beyond that?
Well, you can use reviews on social, right? So Facebook has reviews, right? That's a relatively new feature on Facebook. They don't necessarily help you on Google searches, So there are reviews on Facebook, but there's two ways you can use reviews in that sense. So one is you can say to people, write us a review on Facebook. So if I write a review on Facebook and you're connected to me as a friend on Facebook, it's likely that you'll see that in your newsfeed, that I just write a review of local business X. So it's got a social dynamic to it. Plus people, the most powerful reviews are reviews from friends and family. Because if I know you personally in the real world and you say, hey, that really is a good movie, right? What do we all do in movies, right? Oh, who cares what the critics say? If your friends say that's a good movie, you're very likely to say, well, I'm going to definitely go see that, right?
Right.
So that Facebook is a digital equivalent of word of mouth reviews. And that's a little different than the way Google or Yelp work. The other thing that businesses can do with reviews, it's a little bit of kind of a humble brag. You can say, post to Facebook, oh, look, we just got a new review on Yelp from, John Doe, and we're really honored that they, said X or Y or Z about our title company or our real estate firm, et cetera. So you can use reviews as content that you can post to Facebook and other social sites, as a way to showcase yourself. And it's a third party endorsement. It's a third party endorsement. So that's another way you can leverage reviews, is using them for the social media component of your business. A little humble brag, but that's all right. That's okay.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, what you say about you is based on recent studies, 12 times less likely to be trusted than what your clients say about you.
Absolutely.
12 times less likely. If you flip it the other way, your clients are believed 12 times more than anything you say about you. So you might as well leverage that persuasion power and that trust factor by using that endorsement. And interestingly enough, that kind of dovetails into another self-serving plug for the Testimonial Engine, because the Testimonial Engine automates the process of not only getting the review, not only quarantining negative reviews and sharing the love with positive reviews on key strategic review sites, but also automating the process of sharing those positive reviews on your social media channels. So if you have a following on Facebook, Google, Twitter, all those fans and followers are going to see these awesome reviews come through on their newsfeed. So that dovetails nicely with one of the things you just mentioned about, we might as well share those reviews on the social media channels. So you're reading my mail and I'm reading yours, brother.
Okay.
So
now I'm creeped out.
Right? Well, it doesn't take much. You might as well laugh now. It's only going to get worse from here. Now, another interesting thing that we might as well piggyback on with reviews is asking for referrals of people who gave you 5-star reviews. I mean, because think about it. Who better to ask for a referral than someone who just gave you a 5-star review? Have you seen that worked? Have you seen any of your clients or any case studies where businesses have connected a institutionalized referral campaign with their review campaign?
I haven't seen that directly, but here's an area where you do have to be a little careful, because especially with respect to Yelp. So Yelp is the most aggressive and the most sensitive to influencing of their reviews, right? So the real hot button issue for Yelp, the really thing that will drive Yelp crazy and get you in trouble, is paying for reviews. So if I say to you, I will pay you, $20 if you write a review of my pizza restaurant, that is the most dangerous thing that you can do. That can literally get you blacklisted on Yelp. We can get this really obnoxious sort of negative ad that says, we caught you red-handed, blah, blah, blah. So here's the problem, or the thing to watch out for. So let's say somebody writes you a good review of your real estate firm or something. You're absolutely right. The person who wrote that review is the most likely person that you can then reach out to and say, oh, wow, we're really honored. You loved us. It was such a great experience working with you. Hey, if you know someone who's in the market to sell a home or whatever, we have a program where we'll give you, a couple $100 for that referral, something like that. That's fine. but you just have to make sure that you don't connect the review with the payment, and that's where you can get into trouble. So you want to be real careful if there's any monetary remuneration for the referral, that's not connected to the review. That's just a separate program, and that's where you want to be careful.
Gotcha.
And especially with Yelp. Yelp is the most uptight about this issue.
Right, and I can understand that. I mean, dangling a carrot to get a review, I'm not a big fan of. I'm not a big proponent of that. In fact, I think it works against you, because if you're really awesome, you shouldn't have to dangle a carrot. People should just be heart connected to how awesome you are and be happy to reciprocate by giving you a review, because you're awesome. So I don't believe in baiting people or bribing people for reviews. I am a fan of the surprise gift, though, or where you say, hey, we're doing, if you'd be so kind as to share that review on Google, I have a surprise gift that I'll be sending you as a token of my appreciation. That, I think, is a little more elegant and classy, because it's under wraps. It's a surprise. They have no clue what it is. There's a little bit of tantalizing curiosity. And it reinforces, hey, this particular review site is really important to me, so I'm going to send you a surprise thank you, if you'd be so kind as to do that. Have you found that to be effective, or not so much?
I have. The other thing that I find kind of related to that is sort of what we might call an upsell or a cross-sell, right? So, I'm an author. I have books on Amazon. I'm very dependent on reviews on Amazon. Very important to me. I do everything I can to encourage real, honest reviews of my books on Amazon. However, I can sort of cross-sell. So if you read one of my books and you write a review of one of my books, I will say, wow, thank you for that great review. That was really helpful. Often I learn a lot from the review, like what people have learned. And then I'll often say, hey, you want to read the other book? I'll send you the other book, right? And I won't say, I'm going to send you the other book. You better write a review, dummy. I just say, hey, I'll send you the other book. So if you have 2 products or 3 products, you can think about cross-selling them or cross-promoting them. So let's say you're a real estate company and you also work with the title company or whatever. You can sort of cross-sell or cross-promote one person with another service. And then in that case, you can usually get one person who likes you to write multiple reviews. It could be multiple locations. You have multiple locations of your pizza restaurant. It could be interrelated services where you're a pizza restaurant and you also are a catering service, right? So I would think about, oh, hey, thanks for writing the review of the pizza restaurant. Did you know we have a catering service? And we'll give you a discount, to use that. We're not going to pay you for a review of the catering service, but by giving you a discount, we're incentivizing you to use it. And we already know you're a person who's likely to write a review. So think that way. Think cross-sell, think upsell.
So in other words, as a thank you for giving the review, we're going to give you a discount coupon towards this other product, this other service, etc.
Exactly.
That's an interesting idea.
Exactly.
And that dovetails nicely into what I was talking about earlier, which is asking for referrals. So not only, could you give it as a reason for a deal in cross-selling and upselling to other products and services, but also, hey, I noticed you gave a 5-star review. Would you be so kind as to having a quick conversation to see, who in your world I could help? Just do a little brainstorm session, see if we can activate your mental Rolodex to see who in your world we could help, just like we helped you. So now you're kind of using it as a reason for the referral ask, if you will. So that was kind of what I was thinking in terms of turning a review into referrals.
Yeah, and you're building a relationship, right? When somebody goes out of their way, when they respond, hey, I will write you a review, right? They're a super fan. They like you, right? And we're all little kids inside, right? We're all just little boys and girls that want to be liked. So
That's it.
And somebody, you're like, oh, wow, thank you so much for doing this for us. That really, that made our day, that you took the time to review us on Yelp or Google or whatever. Now you've started a relationship with that person. And that allows you to say, hey, we're thinking of launching this new product. What do you think? You can involve people in a way, and that helps you with your referrals, with your upsells, etc. So it's a good early relationship builder. People who write a review are super fans, and you should love your super fans.
Mm-hmm.
and try to stay in touch with your super fans.
And I think the big theme behind all this is don't leave it to chance. Set up systems, set up campaigns, and have it be a long-term campaign, not just a whim, not just an idea, but something that you do long-term. Ideally, have it be systematic and consistent. So that's a big theme, I think, behind everything we do in the Local Domination podcast is you don't want it to just be a one and done. Set up a system, have it work while you're not working. So this has been a really insightful conversation. I'm sure there's a whole lot more we can dive into in terms of the little bunny holes and nuances and distinctions inside of local marketing, social media, reviews. For someone who is listening, and I'm sure there's many who would fall into this category, who really dig this conversation and love what you bring to the table, how can they learn more about you? How can they reach out to you?
That's easy. They can just Google Jason McDonald, and I'm at the top of Google, and that'll get you to my personal website.
There you go. Leading by example, baby.
Lead by example. Just Google Jason McDonald. You'll see me right at the top, and that'll get you to my website, my books, and all the other stuff I do.
Jason McDonald, y'all. Jason McDonald. McDonald. If you didn't know, now you know. And what would be one last golden nugget, Jason, you would like to leave our audience with and have their mind marinate on as they leave this interview?
You don't ask, you don't get.
So true. So simple, and yet so true. Well, Jason, it's been a very insightful conversation. I appreciate how you bring what can often be a complex topic, and you bring it down to simple metaphors and analogies, and you break it down into a way that's not just palatable, but understandable in layman's terms, so people can actually bite their teeth into it and execute it. And I had fun. So if your mission is to make it easy and fun, I can tell you from my personal experience today, I had fun having this conversation with you. So thank you.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Thank you for being with us. So thank you, everyone, for listening. This is, again, Jason McDonald. Reach out to him. You can also go directly to his website, jasonmcdonald.org, if you don't want to have to go through the rigmarole of typing in his name in the search results. You can just go straight to his website, jasonmcdonald.org. So that's all for now, my friends. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Local Domination Podcast, your ultimate guide to getting local clients fast. So if tips galore that help you soar is what you adore, know this, we got more in store. Remember, nothing happens without implementation. So in the meantime, in between time, go forth, engage. It's time for Operation Domination.